Welcome everybody to our latest video game book club this week. We are doing part 3 of Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriots.
Yes.
Again, not my game, so Christian, you can take it away, man. This is yours.
Let's do it. All right, so this is part 3, like Alex was saying. So you know how these goes by now. If this is your first one, don't go back and watch.
If you haven't played part 3 yet, get yourself some snacks, get a drink, because this is a movie. This is mostly a movie.
If this is your first one, first Metal Gear, go all the way back to Metal Gear 1.
Don't make this
listen to all of the episodes.
No. Yeah, and then come here. Yeah, so I was telling Alex this. So Preston, now that we're at part 3 and you actually played through it, I'll preface this. So there were people, a not insignificant number, but when the PS3 came out, obviously we all remember the $6.99.
How far into the lifetime of
this was within? Let me look.
I know this wasn't.
I believe that no, it was early. Okay. It was 2 years. Well, a year and a half into the PS3 life cycle, so very early.
Okay.
But they released a special edition PS3 for it. It sucked.
I saw that.
Just my opinion.
It's just another PlayStation 3. Was it white? Maybe
it's just the fat PS3.
I saw that
They changed the coloring just a little bit, and there is the faintest silhouette of like a Metal Gear thing, like on the tray. But the problem is Preston, you know this is now that you are the owner of one. I agree. I think that the glossy finish to those PS3s is very cool. The problem is that just like anything glossy, it takes a single day out in the open air before it starts to get filthy, whether it's dust or your fucking fingerprint pressing the eject button or whatever, right? And it just will hold all of these smudges, which is why I loved the matte slim PS3 because it was like, thank God I can just have this thing and I don't have to fucking worry about it anymore. Anyways, so there was a lot of people who that early into the PS3 life cycle, they were still looking for like the game, right? Because they had spent what is like $1,200 today on a console and was like, I really need something to make this investment worth it at this point. Oh, the launch lineup for PS3, not great.
I don't remember that.
12 games at
the biggest game. Oh, well, damn! Any bangers?
I'm gonna look through Blazing Call of Duty 3, Madden, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which I'm sure was just on the other systems. Mobile Suit Gundam Crossfire, NBA.
It had already been out on the 360.
Resistance: Rise of Man. That's a good one.
I do remember that being game. I remember that being a launch game.
Racer
that game,
7.
By the way, that story mode is 6 hours. So, you play through that in the first couple days.
Ridge Racer 7, Tiger Woods PGA, and Tony Hawk Project 8. That's it.
Bad.
That's not a great...
Bad.
I mean, if you're a sports person,
and then,
sure, but...
And remember, when this console launched, it was before the advent of PSN.
Yeah, so you're not playing online.
And I believe that Metal Gear Solid 4 actually predates it too, so they did not get you didn't get trophies until later when there was the
patch
big
that I
giant
downloaded
trophy
says,
update.
"Hey, here's a trophy patch." I'm like, "Hell yeah, fucking trophies! All right, let's go."
So there was people who were hungry for a title, and so they went and got this one. And I personally think, like, this is to tie back to what we were saying here in the beginning. If you are a person who was like, I'm going to start with Metal Gear Solid 4 being my first one,
bad idea.
In fairness, I think that this game does a very good job of explaining things.
It does. Gives you little flashbacks of the old games,
but
too.
Jesus Christ, you must just be like, there must be so many moments where a character comes in. Like, okay, think about it for part 2, right? Like the Raiden reveal where he comes back and he does this thing. You're like, who the fuck is that guy?
Ninja guy,
like,
yes.
what the fuck is happening? And Snake and everybody is talking to him familiarly, but also being like, whoa, he's been gone forever. And so you're like,
losing out.
This dude's just cyborg ninja? What's going on here? Like, Now, obviously, they go
also
and they'll
don't.
spend some time to explain, but they still don't even talk about like everything that Raiden went through, right?
And
Like,
honestly, I don't even love the little like mash X to see stuff because it's so blurry and fast. It's like
only
half
good
the
for
time.
you if you've played it before. Like I kind of remember that. I kind of remember that.
Yeah. We see, well, spoilers for the name Gray Fox. No, that was in the last one too, right? But there's more of those in this one where you do Gray Fox and like you can barely make out the orange and the blue. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking at sometimes, guys. Like, what is this? So if you haven't played anything, you have no idea what's going on.
yeah. So shout out to those soldiers. I can't believe that you put yourself through this, but Anyway, the other thing is the only thing I was going to bring up before we start here is now that you've been playing through it, Preston. I know you were watching it just before, but there's many times where over this period, Alex has talked to me through this playthrough, where he has agreed with me that genuinely there is no other video game like Metal Gear Solid 4.
There is not.
And yeah, there is not. And I said, I remember, and we can talk about it when we get to the end. I never promised that this would be anybody's favorite.
I'm actually enjoying
I never
this game
promised
quite a bit.
No, hey, look,
Long cutscenes and
we'll
all.
get there when we get there. I am not
sleepy on it.
I am not going to
enjoying it.
Yeah, I am not going to sway anybody one way or the other. We'll get there when we get there. For me, but I just said I'm not going to promise that it's going to be anybody's favorite. I'm not even going to be promised that it's going to be great. But you will walk away and be like, "That is, I have never." And probably will never ever play a video game like that one. And so far, it seems like we're doing it. Yeah, here actually, let me move this to the front here. All right, so we are in Act 3, Third Son. So we are starting the mission briefing here. So once again, Sunny is out here cooking eggs. She's got 3 of them. She's singing the periodic table song. Except this time, Naomi comes and starts offering some cooking advice, unsolicited, by the way. Sunny did not ask for help, but Naomi decided to butt in anyway.
Stranger danger.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not going to go through all this.
Yeah.
All
'cause
30
it's
minutes
mostly
of
nothing.
it?
Well, no, I'm saying for this part, because this
36.
part's not 30 minutes, but it's honestly, it's just, they're trying to do a wholesome moment between Sunny and Naomi where... Yeah, they're doing this thing where obviously Sunny has not had, let's say, a normal childhood, considering she was kidnapped at birth and held prisoner by the Patriots.
Or a lady figure, like a mother figure around her at all.
Right. Yeah. She knows that Olga is her mother, and that's basically it. And there's
Also,
and she knows she's dead.
We haven't addressed this. Otacon shows up all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But like every time we see them in their mission briefing, they're in this plane. Like, do they live in this airplane? Like, what is going? This airplane never land, and they're just like constantly living.
No, the plane lands like where it's at, like in those general locations, and then Snake and that will like leave and whatever. But that is their mobile base. Like, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
And like basically whatever ports they land or airports they land at is like literally just for refueling, and then they leave, and then Snake will go do whatever he needs to do. They will make their way back through either the helicopter that's stored in there. That's where Otacon will then fly to directly to the mission location.
So she has grown up with no mother figure, trapped in a metal airplane with a dude who got his name because of his love of animes and wife.
He used to be an otaku. Used to. He doesn't do that anymore. We'll get there though.
So remember though, so it's not just they have been on this plane for a very long time, but that is not where she spent most of her life so far. Was just in a Patriot prison until Raiden broke her out. So she has only been with Otacon for, I mean, she's only like what 8 or 9, so or however old she is. So not an insignificant chunk of her time has been with Otacon, but most of her life has been in a prison until Raiden rescued her. So, whatever. But yeah, this moment is literally just supposed to be like a wholesome moment between Naomi and Sunny, and, Naomi's talking to her about, like asking her about her mom, and then doing like more of the egg cooking thing, and then they do it, and they're like, aha, look, we did it, we made the eggs, and this is funny, and yada yada yada. Anyway, the game stops at nothing to try to make you have some sort of like I don't know,
Humanize.
okay feelings about Naomi, and I'm like, you're still a war criminal. I don't care, but
they're trying
whatever.
to humanize her.
Again, I know that I'm in the minority for this, so for whoever's watching this later and you're like, fuck you, Naomi's great. I love her character story. That's great for you. I just don't care.
Do you think Kojima is actually employing the same tactics he did in Metal Gear Solid 3? But in Metal Gear Solid 3, they said they acknowledged it, like Ava is dressed the way she's dressed because is she playing Snake? Like, how's this going? But in this one, we've never really seen Naomi this way. But she also has the low cut shirt and the boobs half out. Do you think Kojima is employing those tactics with us to be like, oh no, let's humanize her and get people to look at her a little different? And
we'll get to that. I mean, that could be part of it too. But there's also we get to this where there's a reveal later in this act that talks about like the people who hired Naomi to do certain things, right? So there could be a little bit of that there. My personal thing is like I just don't even understand how Snake is even in the same room as her. Like I would be like, you injected me with fox dye. Like I'm mad at you. Like there's no, I don't give a fuck about what you're mad at me about Frank or any of this.
He's a soldier.
Fuck you. He's
gonna get the job done no matter if she's around or not.
That's goddamn right. Yeah, he's a hero. But I just whatever, dude. It's so weird. But anyway, So after that scene with Sunny, they go back downstairs, and the scene sort of shifts, and it's Naomi, Otacon, and Sunny, and they're all downstairs working on separate computers. And Snake is on the upper level, just having a smoke away from everybody so that nobody bothers him. And Naomi was like, Dr. Emmerich, Liquid is in the Eastern Europe. He's after the corpse of Big Boss. And Otacon, huh? What for? Like, just like spins around. And he goes over to her monitor, and she's like, it's the final key that he needs to gain access to SOP. The keys to the system are Big Boss's genetic code and his biometric data. Without them, there's no way to gain access. And so then Otacon's like, well, then wait, what's Liquid been doing all this time? And they come back over to, like, they slide back over to the computer. And this is where you see bigger, like, sort of higher res versions of his backgrounds, which are obviously Easter eggs to other Kojima games. So there is the Zone of the Enders 2 wallpaper. There's a Police Knots wallpaper. There's like little chibi versions of like him, snakes, like all sorts of things here. I love seeing little Easter eggs like that they put in there. I think those are really good.
This whole time they're standing in a way where I heard clicking, but I don't see anybody typing. So I'm like, oh, why is the sound fucked up? And then like 4 minutes into the scene, you eventually get a clip of a little like Sunny hand in the background. And then they do other angles where you see her like one hand on this keyboard, one hand on this other keyboard, just like hacking away on something, but not really doing anything. And I was like, what is going on, guys? Like, what are we doing?
Hey, she's surfing the net,
just
bro.
for the longest time I thought I was crazy because I heard the like ta-ta-ta-ta. I'm like, nobody's doing anything. And
you're just jealous because she's surfing the net and you aren't. And
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, so Naomi responds, she's like, he's been performing two tests. The first using the genetic code from Liquid's DNA chip, and in his second attempt, he uses the DNA-coded biometric data extracted from Snake's blood. So they were trying to pull Big Boss's, like, his parts of DNA from both Liquid and Snake, and it was not, obviously we know it did not work. Liquid's did not work at all, and Snake's worked a little bit, but not all the way. And so then it cuts to, so Snake is yelling, like true old man fashion, by the way, yelling from upstairs.
The other room. So good.
I know, and he's like coughing, and he's like trying to hide the fact that he was smoking in the bathroom. Then he's, I actually didn't mean to, but I did have to cough. But he's like coughing from there, and he's like, what's the need for the original if a substitute works just as well? And then she yells back, and she's like, neither your genetic pattern nor Liquid genetics pattern is 100% matches for Big Boss. And Snake is like, what do you mean we don't match? And so Snake starts to make his way down here. But as he's making his way down, Naomi, like, places her hand on Otacon's and is like, you know, like trying to, and then like lifts it away and is like embarrassed a little bit. Or Otacon pulls his hand away and he's a little embarrassed and he's like, "Oh my gosh, a girl touched me." But anyway, throughout this point, they really are just going over the entire like plan as far as Liquid and like what he's been trying to do and how he's going to get in. And she's talking about how Snake and Liquid are both not perfect matches of Big Boss. They're as close as they humanly could be, but they are still actual like children in the same way that like a regular child would be, for the most part.
Born from two people,
obviously.
not just one person.
So they're
yes.
Yeah, they're clones, but they're not test tube clones.
Exactly.
They were birthed, so like you have other DNA. Yeah.
Right, which is why she goes on to say that they created Solidus to make a more perfect, like directly, like a direct clone. But Snake reminds, or is, you know, like, but Solidus is dead, and we all know that obviously because we played through Metal Gear Solid 2. And so when he says that, Naomi goes, "Listen carefully, Snake. This is the most important part. The AI that controls the system employs a highly aggressive and advanced intrusion detection system. It uses a special code to inspect all the data and commands circulating within the network. Any data that fails to conform to that code is treated as a foreign object and expunged, like viruses killed by white blood cells. The authentication program that this IDS uses is based on a genetic identification program." And she basically is like, it's basically like the one that I helped develop for Foxdie. It's set up so the host commands only execute properly if the key matches perfectly. However, if the IDS suspects somebody's trying to break into the system, it registers the genetic code on a blacklist, and then it's never being able to be used again. And so it goes, now Liquid and Snake's genetic code are both on that blacklist because Liquid has tried it both times and it has failed both times. And
so you really have one shot to get in with whatever.
Right, yeah. And so this part I always thought was funny, where you like Snake brings up the fact that that Solidus is dead and that he can't be used, obviously, and Naomi just kind of like interrupts him, is like, "But this is the most important part," and it's like, "Well, what does that have to do with what I just said to you?" But okay, whatever. But so this ends with Otacon basically being surprised that Snake and Big Boss don't have the same genetic code. And she's like, "Well, Snake and Liquid aren't the same either." And then explains, and she's like, "Which is why Foxeye only affected Liquid at Shadow Moses and spared you." And then everybody kind of like slowly looks away from each other like, right, you did inject me with a killer virus that was supposed to make my heart explode.
Yeah.
Oof. Anyways, and then they go, but so they basically, she reiterates the fact that they need to use the original Big Boss here. And Snake is like, "Okay, well then it doesn't really fucking matter because Big Boss is dead." And she's like, "Nope, he's alive." And everybody sort of like explodes and is like, "What the fuck do you mean Big Boss is alive?" She's like, "Well, his body is, or rather his cells." And they basically are like, they've kept him in a sort of like vegetable-ish state where like basically all of his organs have died, but or are not working, but he's just hooked up to a machine and everything's just kind of flowing right now to keep all of that stuff going. And so she also mentions here that in both instances, Liquid knew that both those tests were not going to work, but he was doing it to see like what the limits were of like what, like how far he can get, and like he's basically poking and being like, "Okay, what all happens when I do this?" Like just trying to see it all. And they know, and she just goes on to say like, "Hey, we know that his body's in, Big Boss's body is in Europe somewhere, and that our only chance is to stop Liquid is to get the body first." And at this point, there is like, right as they sort of say that, Raiden starts to convulse on the bed over here and starts to bleed out from all of his wounds again. And Sunny calls out saying that she found it, and then as they come over, Snake asks where did she hack this from, and Otacon's like, she hacked it from the Patriots. And Naomi is like looking over Raiden's body, and she's like, I can't believe this still goes on. And Otacon's like, well, war economy, all this stuff. People need super cool cyborg ninja soldiers, so things happen. Cool shit. But yeah, so then Sunny asks if they can make Jack better, and Otacon just goes like, I don't know. And so Naomi sort of takes over and is like, hey, this is the technology. She just basically lines out like, this is what we need to do to help Raiden. And Raiden basically kind of shoots up, and is like, you need to take me to Dr. Madnar in Europe. He's the one who built this body for me and got everything set up. He has the equipment to do what needs to be done to heal me. And from there, honestly, like, they're really just solidifying that plan of going to Europe, finding Big Mama, and then also getting Raiden the help that he needs. The only other thing that happens in here is a couple different things. One, Sunny makes a pretty funny joke where Snake doesn't think anybody's looking and goes like pull a cigarette out and go to smoke, and Sunny snags it from him and it was like, this is a no smoking flight, and then points to a sign that says no smoking now, which I thought was really funny. But then it cuts to that like after that little scene, it fades away, and it's just more of Naomi flirting with Otacon through like different things. Snake is asleep, but then Naomi comes across the room and she's holding some sort of like her little necklace, but then pulls it like off of her, like pulls part of it off of the necklace, and it's like this little USB drive, and she walks over and like clearly like again goes hard at flirting with Otacon, but she keeps that little thing in her hand, the little USB drive, and from there, she asks about his sister that's on his screen and like all sorts of different stuff. He also mentions about how he got his name, like Alex was mentioning, the stupid fucking story where I used to like anime. God, I know, it's so ridiculous. But through there, while they're talking, Otacon brings up the fact of, like, he shows the Metal Gear Mark II that him and Sunny built, and, shows the whole thing. And Naomi's like, how did she help you do this? Like, she's just a child. And Otacon's like, I mean, she was the one who cracked the thing on your email. And she's like, I kind of thought that was all you. And he was like, nope. And she was like, or he goes, Sunny was taken by the Patriots and has spent her entire life in the net. Like, she's not, like, she's never been a normal kid. Like, she's always been in that kind of setting. And she goes, and Naomi's like, oh, is that why she has trouble speaking? And Otacon's like, her home is in the computer. She can only see the outside from the inside. She's always in there, searching for herself, searching for her family. She's trying to find out who she is and where she's going. And Naomi just sort of repeats that to him. And she's still holding on to the little storage device. But then she is like, well, it shouldn't be like that. And Otacon just goes, huh? And she's like, it's time you let her go outside. And Otacon's like, and Snake, the best part about this is that Snake like wakes up on the bed, does not intervene at all, but wakes up and is like, side eye, like, the fuck is going on over there? And but Otacon goes, what are you talking about? And he was like, well, she hasn't even been born yet. She's still in the womb. She needs to live a real life. And Otacon's like, I mean, she's never shown any interest in leaving, and frankly, I'm worried about letting her go out there. And then Naomi, again, looks at the storage device in her hand, and then is like, I have a feeling she'll do just fine. And Otacon's like, I mean, you think that she'll be okay? She goes, well, that's not what I meant. I think she's got a good handle on her science. And Otacon goes, like, okay, whatever. And then he goes like, so continue, go on. And she's like, huh? And he's like, you were about to say something. And then she goes, oh, yeah, I mean, would you mind if I helped her with her cooking still? And Otacon's like, yeah, I don't care. And then he goes to put his glasses on, and she's like, don't. You look handsome with them off. And he's like, and he's just, so they're basically, they spend the rest of the time flirting. She goes and says that she's going to go to sleep inside the helicopter. He's like, all right, cool, sweet. And he goes, by the way, call me Hal. And she's like, okay, good night, Hal. And then as soon as
she goes and call me mommy, and like pulls him in.
Oh, yeah. So she does, yeah. So the door shuts, and Otacon has like the weird like 80s rom-com thing where he's standing outside of a helicopter door, and he's like, oh my gosh, like a girl closed her apartment door. Except this helicopter door has a giant fucking window where Naomi would be able to see Otacon just fucking standing there with his back turned, like, oh, I have the vapors all of a sudden. And so then she swings the door open and pulls him inside, and then it just shows the Nomad flying off. And that's, that's the briefing.
They banged.
That's the whole
Definitely.
briefing.
Definitely. The whole thing.
Yeah, they definitely banged. So clearly some things here. The main thing is obviously we know what our plan is. We're going to Europe. We're trying to find Big Boss. And we're trying to find Big Mama. And we're also trying to help Raiden. So that's our three main things that we're trying to do here. On top of all of that, we know that Naomi is once again hiding something. We don't know what she's hiding. She's hiding something. And she's trying to use some charms on poor Otacon to be able to do whatever it is that she's trying to do. But yeah, so this brings us officially into the act. And what we see is kind of a cool little thing here. So the train, like we pull into the train station, and we get a little over thing from Campbell, and he's like, Snake, a national state of emergency has been declared in effort to root out the local resistance. The hunt is being carried out by a U.S.-based PMC Raven Sword. So obviously we know that is Raging Raven's unit. And she was one of the companies under Outer Heaven's control. And Snake goes, which means that Liquid is lurking somewhere behind the scenes. And then Campbell goes, right. At the top of the target list is the Paradise Lost Army, the resistance group led by Big Mama. And Campbell goes, Snake, you will be infiltrating the region where they are believed to house their base of operations. It looks as if the PMCs have moved swiftly, cutting off Big Mama and company's escape routes. They should still be hiding somewhere in that area. Big Boss's corpse is bound to be with them. You've been added to the PMC's blacklist, so you're going to have to lie about your identity to get in. I provided you with a way to evade checkpoints, make contact with the resistance, and find Big Mama. This is our last chance. We must reach Big Boss's body before they do. And as the person is, what we assume the camera has been following when we get to this checkpoint is, who do we see but young Snake himself? So this is like...
Yeah, I was a little thrown with the, you have to go in disguise, and what he did as a disguise is dress up as the younger version of him, which is not even arguably the more well-known version, because fewer people know he has hyper-aging. So, like, this is the more blatant, like...
It worked in Metal Gear Solid 2.
It makes no sense. It is just like,
I'm
gonna go dressed up as the way that most people know me as. Now, I get it. Like, if you're a wanted criminal and you walk into an airport in TSA, like, most people are gonna know who you are. I totally understand. Not everybody knows spies. Just saying, dressing up as yourself to disguise yourself
I would
is
say
not the best choice.
That no one knows spies, but also, like,
Sure.
when he's there, the main thing is that the last that people heard was that Snake was responsible for, like, part of the Big Shell incident or whatever. But, like, again, his, like, all of his crimes are mostly, like, international government. Like, your average person in a train station is not going to be like, oh my god, is that the legendary photo solid Snake? Like, no one's gonna...
But if that's the case, then you don't need a disguise at all. But if you're going to get a disguise...
But you do, because the PMC
don't
groups that are
disguise
looking
yourself as
for
younger.
you
Get a Groucho Marx fucking mustache at least. Like, do something.
No, but you do, because the PMC groups are looking for Mr. Old Snake, and so you need to go as I'm blanking on what his nickname now was in Metal Gear Solid 2.
Was
the
it
name
Pliskin?
he gave Raiden.
Pliskin. Something Pliskin.
Pliskin, yeah, Pliskin, and that's why I was like, there he is, good old Pliskin, just out here doing the Lord's work. But yeah, it was funny. He's just like, oh, so that's what he would look like had Naomi not injected him with a murder virus. Anyway, well, no, not technically. I know he was, always born to hyper age, but whatever. I still have not. I'm not letting it go.
This whole scene kind of got me. I'm going to get into it more in a second, but like, the whole thing is like, be inconspicuous, get through the checkpoint, meet the person you need to meet, and continue the mission. And Snake is like, yeah, fuck that. I am going to be conspicuous, ignore people talking to me, and almost get into a hand-to-hand fight with a security guard before I get in here. I'm just like, bro, you're a spy. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I think that this was the thing that Campbell was talking about, which is that if Snake makes this scene and then pulls a cigarette out and does the whole thing, that is supposed to be Meryl's cue to come over and let him through. But I'll just skip most of that, because that's what happens, is exactly what you said. Snake causes a big scene, he ruffles some little feathers, and then everyone's like, oh shit, he's pulling something out from his pocket, and he's like, yo, it's just a cigarette, chill out. And when he goes to do that and put it in his mouth, Meryl comes over and is like, we've been looking for this man, come with me. And they pull him through, and everything is fine. And Meryl's like, you're looking younger, what's your secret? And Snake's like, face camo, a little present from Tentacles. From there, he says, the PMCs sure seem to know you well enough. And she goes, you may not believe it, but I'm in charge of overseeing all PMC activity. Having connections can still open doors. And he goes, you alone? And she kind of like nudges over the room to show the rest of the squad, with Johnny and Ed and or Akiba, Ed and Jonathan, and Akiba starts jumping up and down and waving like, "Yo, hey, what's up, man?" Like he's all excited.
He yells his name.
He says Snake.
He says Snake. Like,
he goes,
Snake!
Hey, Snake, over here. Hey, Snake. And Ed pushes Akiba into Jonathan, and Meryl signals from him across the room to keep it down. And Snake goes, what is wrong with that guy? And everybody kind of moves on, and she goes, listen to me, Snake. After reporting what happened in the Middle East to my superiors, I wrote up a threat assessment. The president's finally realized the danger of Liquid's little rebellion poses, and has cause for immediate action. Now I've got more bodies than I know what to do with. A whole joint Army Marines team. They're already on site, mixed in with the U.S. forces here. We're ready to strike at Liquid at any time. You're planning to take him by force? That's crazy. Look, things aren't that simple. And she goes, listen, old man, I don't take orders from you or from your Colonel Campbell. And he goes, it's going to be the Middle East all over again. She goes, no, it won't. If things get out of hand, we can pull a total lockdown of the PMC's weapons. They won't be able to fight back. Don't forget, we control the system. And Snake goes, I wouldn't rely too much on the system if I were you. And Meryl goes, we've got them beat in sheer numbers. And Snake goes, Meryl. And she goes, look, Snake, just leave this to me. There's no need for you to put yourself in harm's way. Don't risk your life for no reason. Snake, what you're trying to do, it's not a mission. And Snake goes, I know, it's not justice. It's a hired hit. And she goes, if you know, then... And then some soldiers, walk through or whatever, and, she pipes down, because they don't want to see the commotion. And she goes, look, our ways of thinking might be different, but to me, you're still a legend, a hero. I know all about the things that you did when you were young, and it's what kept me going. I can't bear to watch you die over something so pointless. And he goes, don't worry about me. Old soldiers never die. She goes, your cause is our cause now. You don't have to do this. And he goes, I'm no hero. I never was. I'm just an old killer hired to do some wet work. And she goes, fine, we'll just have to catch him before you do. And she goes, I may have loved you once, but now you're just too damn senile to face the truth. She goes, wake up and face reality, and then points at his chest and goes, old Snake. And then Snake, a little bar of his psyche goes down like, Meow. And she goes, and stay out of our way. And so she leaves and gives like a quick glance back to Snake, and Snake is just still sitting at the table, like, "Yep. If in case you're wondering, my feelings are hurt. Yep, I'm still sitting here." And she kind of has like a guilty look over her face. And then she leaves. Snake puts his cigarette out and closes the little cylinder. And as he starts to get like Snake is making his way, and he stops around the corner. And then that's when he takes a Kodak call. So then Snake gets a call from Otacon. He's like, "Otacon, they've seen this face too." And he goes, "Yeah, it might have been added to the PMC's blacklist as well." And Meryl was acting kind of strange. And she goes, "Things are going to get hairy once American suppression troops get here. We better get to Big Boss's corpse and fast. But first, we need to find Big Mama. Snake, let's go over what we know so far." And from there, it's just them breaking down the mission of what they're going to do and trying to get in touch with Big Mama. And then at the end of it, Otacon's like, "Yeah, we actually got in touch with..." Or he goes, "By the way, we found a way to get Raiden all set up, so you don't have to worry about that. You can just focus on this." And so Sonny and Naomi are actually headed to that doctor right now to get all of that stuff. So you just focus on Big Mama. And so then from there, we are just making our way through the city. So Alex, I know you were mentioning before, like in the first act, where you were like, "Oh, I hope we get to see, new or different areas, and not just this desert one." So far we've always had the desert one, and then the jungle with all this, and then now we are just like full in, like in a city, right? I think Preston, you were the one who was mentioning that you were like, they never say that it's Berlin, but you're just gonna say it's Berlin
at one point, but maybe just me like inserting it.
I said I never thought they said Berlin, but I told Preston, I was like,
I think they just said Eastern Europe. I don't think they've ever said
I think
Berlin.
it's funny they just said Eastern Europe, and we both, like, when I was talking about it to Travis, I also said Berlin. You just kind of like...
It looks like Berlin.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? Eastern Europe has a few connotations, so...
It's got one city in it. The whole thing. The whole of East Europe.
The whole Eastern Bloc, yeah. That side of the Iron Curtain. But yeah, so obviously, like, so far, and this will be the case for most of the rest of the game, but there will be each act has its own like little distinct area that you're in. But yeah, so as we make our way through the city and sort of doing our thing and knocking people out, doing this, we make our way to the hideout, and once we get there, Snake just goes, "I'm here to..." He looks at one of the Resistance members, like, "I'm here to see Big Mama," and their Resistance guys are like checking him out, and one of the guy goes, "I mean, I didn't hear him coming at all, so he's got to be the one." And the other guy's like, "Yeah, but look at him, he's ancient," and Snake starts to cough like I am actually right here. You don't have to call me an old piece of shit right next to me. But then right when he does that, he immediately starts CQCing the fuck out of everybody just to prove a point, being like, "Yeah, I might be an old bastard, but here you go." And as they're doing that, it knocks loose an apple out of one of the soldiers' coats, and it rolls forward, and then we get our reveal of Big Mama. And she goes, "Very impressive, CQC, Snake, no doubt about it. He is the legendary soldier. Call me Mama, Big Mama." and
this is my house. Big Mama's house.
Big Mama's house, yeah. And so she basically is like, "Hey," she tells all the Resistance members to get out, and it's just them. And so Snake is like, "I need to talk to you. Raiden sent me." And she goes, "My, how you've grown, David. It was you, not I, who was created from the rib of man." And she puts her hand on her stomach. And she goes, "But I gave you life. I am your mother." And Snake, I love this. Snake is blankly staring at her. It just goes, "What?" And she goes, "The terrible infants, you can't grow a human being in a test tube, not even a clone. You need a woman's body to give it life." And Snake goes, "You mean a surrogate mother?" And she goes, "That's an awfully cold way to put it. I am your mother. I gave birth for the Patriots." And he goes, "Gave birth?" And she goes, and she goes to pick up the apple off the ground, and she's like, "The forbidden fruit, appropriate, no. Follow me and I'll explain everything." And from this moment, boy, does she, because we are in a world of explanations coming forward.
Yeah.
But she goes, the man who wants me dead is Liquid, your twin. You think you know him, but I know him better. He was once Ocelot, but Liquid has taken control of his soul, and now he's locked in a bitter struggle with Zero. And Snake goes, Zero? And she is the founder of the Patriots. And Snake goes, founder, when did this happen? And she's like, 40 years ago during the Cold War, when the United States and the Soviet Union were still at odds. It was in that chaotic era that the Patriots were born, and I played my part. I was one of the founding members. And she goes, you? And she goes, Zero created the Patriots to manage and control the American state. That control endured long after the Cold War ended. The organization became an empty shell, continuing to function through AIs. Those AIs are responsible for the creation of the war economy, and they gave rise to the Sons of the Patriot system, but I am partly to blame. I bear some of the guilt for creating the organization. It was right after I first met your father, Big Boss. Back in 1964, I was ordered to take part in a CIA op called Operation Snake Eater, which concerned a new weapon the Soviets were developing at the time. My mission was to support a certain agent, Big Boss, but I knew him as Naked Snake. That was his code name at the time, a name he would give to you, his son. The commander of this mission was a man called Zero, the head of the Special Forces Unit Fox. Back then, my objective was to secure a location of the Philosopher's Legacy, a massive cache of hidden wealth, and report it to Beijing, because she was a double agent for the Chinese. I was to acquire a microfilm showing the location of the secret funds. Now, from here, she literally just describes the events of Snake Eater.
Yep.
But at the end, she says that they used the whole point was that after that operation, she ended up in Hanoi, and that's where I met him again. It was around then that Zero used the massive funds contained in the Philosopher's Legacy to start a new organization, the Patriots, which would carry out the final wishes of a certain legendary hero. The initial membership consisted of Big Boss, Signet, Paramedic, and their commander, Zero. Oh, and there was one more who we mustn't forget. He stayed behind in the Soviet Union to support the group as the informant, Ocelot, who is now Liquid. After your father rescued me in Hanoi, I went to America to join their organization. Zero's goal was to achieve a unity of thought and awareness. He believed that that's what the boss wanted, and the rest of the Patriots followed his lead. The boss being obviously like not Big Boss, but the boss. Snake then asks, who the boss is, and Big Mama then goes on to explain just the boss, as of that character, from Snake Eater, that character. And she goes, Zero elevated Big Boss, the hero who saved the world, to the status of an idol. The truth behind Big Boss became riddled with exaggeration, misrepresentation, and outright lies. Zero disseminated these stories among the masses and gathered the rich and powerful to his banner. Every era needs its symbols to control people, whether it be the stars and stripes or the hammer and sickle. As the times and currents of politics changed, so too did Zero. Eventually, he became a prisoner of his own lust for power, sparking friction between him and Big Boss, who resented playing the puppet, with Big Boss drifting away from Zero, drifting away. Zero realized he would need insurance, something that would perpetuate the existence of Big Boss, their organization's icon. And so Zero secretly embarked on a new project, the Terrible Inference Project. And its goal was to create a clone of Big Boss, the Ultimate Soldier. The project was led by Dr. Clark, known at the time as Paramedic. After dozens of failures, they finally miraculously succeeded in producing a fertilized egg. The egg used in the successful in vitro fertilization came from Dr. Clark's assistant, a healthy Japanese woman. And the voice of Vulcan Raven from Shadow Moses, you do a little flashback thing here. And Vulcan Raven's like, blood from the east flows within your veins. So when he said that, and Snake back then was like, don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but sounds good, man. She goes, give birth to Big Boss. To realize this, I asked to serve as a surrogate mother and was more than happy to carry you in my womb. I loved him. 9 months later, I gave birth to two big bosses, you and Liquid. It didn't matter that you were clones or that they had manipulated your DNA. You were born the same way as any other normal child from your mother's womb. But the terrible imprints proved to be the final straw for Zero and Big Boss. Determined to oppose Zero and his plans, Big Boss broke away from the Patriots. He left the States, created his own mercenary company, and drifted around the world. Your father never wanted you. Human life isn't meant to be manipulated like that. I knew that, but I wanted you. After Big Boss left, Zero really lost control. What Zero wanted was an orderly world, one governed by rules. His fortune grew through countless wars. And his words influenced decision-making all the way up to the Oval Office. As the world saw the rise of digital technology, the internet and genetics, the Patriots' power grew immense. Their roots spread and took hold throughout the globe. In time, they began to dictate the fate of the entire nations from the shadows. And before we knew it, the Patriots, the proud police of the world, started bringing an entire planet under their control. Big Mama then goes on to say their intentions were fair, but their execution was flawed. Zero developed weapons, amassed armies, used information for extortion, all in order to gain more wealth. He was obsessed with controlling awareness on the inside from the outside, but I cannot imagine that's what the boss would have wanted. They both misinterpreted her will, and their absolute reverence for her drove them apart. So began the war between Zero and Big Boss, opposing interpretations, each striving to realize the boss's will. Everything you see today stems from the Cold War. Differences in race, in religion, and ideology. This war they've caused is no different from any other human error in history. It all started with a tiny fork in the path and then grew into a great rift. From here, she basically goes on to say she's describing more. Most of this is games. Some of this is from games like on the PSP that we did not play. So like some of those little smaller ones that have some extra Big Boss stuff here, but also a lot of this is also from the original Metal Gear games. So when Big Boss was the villain and you as Snake were running around and thwarting all of his plans, which she brings up here. And she goes on to say that she even says, like, so for Big Boss now, who's a vegetable, became a prisoner of Zero even in death. For Zero, more than anyone else, your father was an irreplaceable icon, but the truth is that he was an irreplaceable friend. After Big Boss's betrayal, Zero could no longer believe in something so uncertain as life. He lost his belief in everything, nations, organizations, individuals. And Zero was no longer willing to place his organization in the hands of the next generation. Instead, he set up a network of AIs, a decision-making system formed from all the information he had accumulated. He built 4 AIs, GW, TJ, AL, and TR, as sort of a digital Mount Rushmore, and one core artificial intelligence to unite them, John Doe. And Snake is like the same GW that was destroyed 5 years ago. And she goes, yes, the same. Ever since GW was cut off, JD and the other 3 AIs have controlled all information on every aspect of global society, economics, politics, laws, morals and culture, and the war economy is no exception. So from here, she basically goes into where she goes, naturally, Ocelot and I plan to free him from Zero's prison. We enlisted Naomi Hunter, an authority in the field of nanomachine research, into our organization, and we used Frank Yeager to kill Dr. Clark, and Ocelot tortured the DARPA chief, Donald Anderson, and also known as Signet, to death and made it look like an accident. So this is actually a really cool reveal here where we realize that Signet, the person that we met in Snake Eater, that was our little weapons expert and everything, was actually the DARPA chief who dies in that prison cell in Metal Gear Solid 1, but he was under a completely, different identity at the time. So Gray Fox kills Paramedic. and the Shadow, like during the Shadow Moses thing with Ocelot killing Signet, Zero is the only one left. But she goes, but we too paid a price. I lost Ocelot. Ocelot wasn't fighting for the Pentagon or for the Russians, and certainly not for Zero. He was fighting for Big Boss. He idolized him. When Ocelot grafted Liquid's right arm onto his own, his body was taken over by Liquid's thoughts and spirits, or thought and spirit. He may be Ocelot in physical form, but his mind is Liquid's. I was the last one, and then someone appeared to help me. And Snake goes, Raiden. And she was like, it was when I met him that I finally discovered the location of Big Boss. It was in the data chain from DW. Together, he and I retrieved Big Boss, but Big Boss was still asleep as Zero had left him all that time ago. And Snake's like, well, why did Zero keep him alive? And she goes, people need heroes. Zero wanted to create a messiah, a legend that would never die. And she then says that she will take us to meet him here. And when she goes, we see basically like the little vegetable state that Big Boss is kept in this creepy ass fucking
Ziploc
like,
bag.
Yeah, it is. It's like a Ziploc bag that you can't see through, and then everything's just kind of hooked in, and it's like all the limbs are basically gone, and it's just
He is the Anakin Skywalker torso.
Yes, exactly.
Right? In a vacuum sealed Ziploc bag. It's literally
Yes.
Dude's a meat popsicle,
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah. Which was in itself a pretty crazy, brutal reveal.
Yes. Well, and especially, right, like, we get this whole breakdown from Big Mama at this point of just not only everything that happened in Snake Eater and all the things that happened in the PSP games, but also some crazy reveals, right? Like, we know now all these characters that we know from Snake Eater were killed, and it was all this crazy proxy war and everything. But then Big Boss's body is just right there, and you're like, damn, my man lost. Like, he, like, and she does mention, like, both him and Zero were wrong. Like, what they were both doing, even though it started off with good intentions, was wrong. But, like, one of them clearly lost, and it was Big Boss. Like, our man is out. It's bad days for him right now.
Yeah.
But so I agree with you, honestly. It is kind of like this sort of bitter reveal where you're like, God damn, dude. Like, not only did you go through it in Snake Eater, like that was a rough go of everything, but then to have your entire legacy basically just be boiled down to, well, not only did you kind of draw some wrong conclusions and get something fucked up because you were mad and burned and all this other stuff, but now this is what you've been reduced to.
Yeah.
But while Snake and Big Mama are proceeding back inside the church after they see the corpse, or the body, I should say, Snake receives a Kodak call from Otacon, and he goes, Snake, it's Naomi, and he goes, what happened? She goes, she's gone. She's not in the Nomad anymore. And Snake goes, when? And she goes, less than an hour ago. She disappeared right after she and Sonny got back from Dr. Madnar's place. And Snake goes, why weren't you watching her? And Otacon's response to this is, I didn't have my glasses on. And Snake's like, Naomi said it herself. The experiment can't succeed without her. And Otacon goes, you think she went back to Liquid? And Snake goes, what about Raiden? And he's like, well, good news on that front. We've got him all hooked up. And Snake's like, will he live? And he goes, yeah, no worries there. Sonny has taken over for Naomi, but his treatment's probably going to take 2 days. Until then, Raiden can't move. And from there, a mysterious figure in a long coat and a top hat suddenly comes calmly strolling into the room. And from there, the Resistance members start firing into this coat. And coat comes off and it reveals 3 spherical drones, each with 3 limbs.
Three.
Snake goes, what the hell is that?
3 kids stacked on top of each other in a trench coat.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And Snake's like, or Big Mama goes, move. And then she takes out the pistol, the same pistol from Snake Eater still. And shoots each one of the drones. But one persistent drone remains as Big Mama places a foot on top of it and fires several bullets into the machine to make sure that it stays down. And it cuts, there's the flashback to Eva from back in Snake Eater. And so from there, they're like, okay, cool, we're going to escape. Let's get the fuck out of here. And so from here, I actually really love this. So she reveals the old Triumph motorcycle, and then Snake hops on the back.
It looks incredible.
Yeah.
Like it's Gran Turismo levels of detail on this motorcycle.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it does look really good. And she goes, all of these children were orphans. They work in arms factories, and when they grow up, they want to join a PMC. They seek revenge on other companies, PMCs that killed their parents, and use their earnings to support younger siblings. There are countless child soldiers like these in the PMCs nowadays. Anyone with a computer can get combat training. These FPS games these children love are distributed for free by these companies. Of course, it's all just virtual training. It's so easy for them to get absorbed by these war games. And before they know it, they're in the PMCs holding real guns. These kids end up fighting in proxy wars that have nothing to do with their own lives. They think it's cool to fight like this. They think that combat is life. They don't need a reason to fight. After all, for them, it's only a game. She goes, Zero is the cause of all of this. Defeating Liquid won't change things unless we stop the Patriot system. This cycle will go unbroken. And then she goes, hop on. And from there, we get to do this sort similar to how it was in the other games, but we are on the back of the motorcycle and we are shooting at, all the different, there's the Raven enemies because Raging Raven is there. And there's Gecko, different resistant, or the PMC soldiers that we're fighting through. From there, at the as we had made our way throughout the city, we are going across this little bridge, and Raging Raven finally shows up, and is like, "There you are, Snake. Where's your anger? Show me your rage." And then her and her little army of drones are all over there, and we're shooting through those, and Otacon calls us and is like, "I've got bad news. The decoy vans have all bitten the dust, which means the enemy will be focusing on you now. I just need you to hold them off a little bit longer." And the pursuit continues throughout the city, with the Raven Beast and its unarmed aerial units attacking Snake and Big Mama from every angle. And after the two eventually come into a straight road, Big Mama is hit with a sniper bullet from the distance. And she's like, don't worry, I'm fine. And they pass under a bridge, and evidently evade the pursuers for now. And Big Mama and Snake finally regroup at the final van. And then one of the unmanned aerial vehicles suddenly appear from behind and fire a missile at the caravan. And that causes the van to lose control and knock Snake off of Big Mama's motorcycle and eventually crash through a building wall. And Big Mama is sent flying from her bike and into an iron gate. Snake gets up and goes to check on her and asks if she's okay. And he's like, Big Mama, come on, stay with me. And Big Mama, as her abdomen appears to have been pierced with a metal piece sticking out from the gate. Not unlike how she got done up by that log in Snake Eater.
She's done it before.
Yep, she has dealt with it before. And we had a flashback of that. And then as she's getting this flashback, she sees an image of Big Boss, basically over Snake's face. And then he's saying, "Eva, I need you." And she's like, "Is that you, Snake?" And then she's brought back to reality and, pushes our regular Snake away. And she goes, "A mother's work is never done." And then removes her body from the iron gate and does the same thing. And Snake helps her up. And then they get over to the van as all of the little, Raven drones are circling everything. And Snake goes over to check the inside of the front of the car, and the driver is dead. And he turns around and shakes his head towards Big Mama, and Big Mama falls to the floor in sorrowful agony at the turn of events, and basically just says that she's sorry. And Snake picks up the rifle carried by the driver of the van and brings it over to Big Mama. And you can hear all of the screaming from the Raven creatures. And Snake is basically like, "Okay, well, you're gonna she's going to contact the rest of the soldiers and try to guard the van. And now it is Snake's turn to get through and fight Raging Raven. So I guess I'll pause here before this boss battle just to check in with you guys, and you guys just let me know how you guys are feeling so far. All these reveals
for
and
starters, how dare you for skipping out an entire section of gameplay? The only section of gameplay before the shootout, which is trying to follow the rebel guy in the middle of the fucking street, and you can't let anyone know you're there.
I said that part, but yeah, I just said that we just went through and did what they asked us to do, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, so fuck you, because that part took forever for me to do. So it's not just a 2-sentence thing. It's a Preston's half an hour, 45 minutes, because I kept on either losing the guy, or he kept on seeing me, and then at a certain point, like, it's like, they just, like, have you continue on, right? Because, like, let's say the first time the guy sees me and he tries to stab me because I'm trying to follow him again and he catches me on a corner. So like I'm like, I gotta find this guy again. So I'm running, trying to catch up to him, and he's like in a corner ready with a knife out and fucking starts coming at me. I'm like, oh shit. So I incapacitate him, and it's like, oh, well, you lost the guy in this area. That's okay. You'll have to find another one. And it does that for you for every section. So if you lose a guy in that section, it just has you go forward a little bit to the next section, a little bit to the next section. And so there's one part in there to where he changes into the outfit, right? He goes into a PMC outfit. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize what was happening. So it's like a loading screen into the next area. You see the guy. He takes a corner. And I see it's like a little enclosed section. I'm like, okay, cool. This is probably where the door is for wherever we need to go. And I turn into there. And this fucking dude in this military gear. I'm like, oh, shit. So like I run away real quick because he didn't see me, I guess. And I'm sitting there kind of aiming, waiting for him to come out. Like, I got to get this guy because there's a door over there I need to get to. So I'm waiting for him to walk out. He's whistling, which I'm not picking up on. So I fucking tranked the dude. So I'm like, okay, the military guy's gone. I go in that little corner. I'm like, what the fuck is the guy? Like, I don't know where the fucking guy is. Because Otacon didn't fucking chime in and go, oh, hey, that's whistling's awful familiar, huh? Like, nothing of that said. Nothing is... I did not know he changed into the outfit. So there's like 4 or 5 different dudes I'm following to get to the end of this section. I fucking hated this section. This is probably one of the worst sections in all of Metal Gear, in my opinion, because it's forcing me to do this stealthy, sneaky kind of bullshit. And all I want to do is go through and do some pew-pews. Maybe try to sneak around for a little bit. But like, it's not what I wanted to do. This is not how I like games. So,
did you have that big of an issue with it, Alex?
Probably. So, I actually think this is one of the best sections in any of the Metal Gear games ever done.
Section so much.
This game is called Tactical Espionage, and I have never felt like a spy. I've always felt like a soldier. Mm-hmm. And this is literally the first time in any game I felt like a spy. It felt like Mission Impossible. I loved this section. The only problem I had was what you said, Preston, where I did shoot him when he changed the first time. But I just turned around and reloaded the second area and came back in and reloaded the area. And then I realized what was happening and it was no big deal. I followed the same guy throughout. I never had a problem. I never was seen. He almost saw me one time because I kicked a can. And I was like, oh, okay, tricky game. Like, you put a can on the street and I can...
It is the same guy every time. They just reload him in a new section of the map.
Sure.
They're not going to have you do that same section over.
But I followed him to each section the whole time. And then there were a bunch of times I was helping him out because I would sneak around and like before he would come up to a soldier, pop him and so on. No, I thought it was brilliant. And I was talking to Travis when I was playing it, and I did say, I was like, I don't know, man, like I love the section, blah, 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 but I was like, it's starting to get a little long in the tooth. Like if it goes on too much longer, and like right then it ended. I thought it was perfectly done. This was my favorite part of this game so far.
This is my least favorite part of the entire fucking series.
It does make sense that it is your least favorite because there has never been forced stealth sections. Like you could always go loud and do whatever, but this is actually like you have to
do any of that. You have to find out.
Now it does. Preston, to your point, if you fail it enough, they will just force you and say, hey, go this way. I thought
about, what if I just keep on going? Like, sooner or later, I'm going to get to the part to where it's going to be the end of the level. Are they going to let me just get a cutscene, or am I going to actually follow the guy? And the thing is, you have to actually see the guy in the section.
I loved how dark the streets were and fog
I think it looks
covered.
great. Environment, all that, great.
Yeah.
The whole
There were
like
a
little
couple times-
peeing thing was like kind of really funny.
So
But, like,
great, yeah.
Other
Yeah.
than that, I fucking hated this level.
I had to throw on the night vision a couple times to make sure I was following the right person.
I never did that.
Fantastic, super well done. I think it's
Well,
so funny when you
so
said
let
it
me
was
bring it up.
the
So we
worst part of
skipped
any,
over
and I was
it.
just like, that's so funny.
Like a sentence.
Yeah, I also like this section, but I think that it's well done and does the things.
I just
But
don't like sneaky
I
stuff.
understand why you wouldn't like it, Preston. But yeah, so okay, good. So yeah, so we get to the Raging Raven fight here, and I'm gonna be honest. I don't think this fight is particularly remarkable, even by the B&B standards.
That was fun.
And I also think that's cool.
Because you can go up to the
I'm
top
not-
and stuff like that too. I'll let you
So-
talk about
so
it.
this-
My opinion on it.
Yeah.
So this fight started to frustrate me because it went way too long. Way too long.
big
Now
baby.
I did go stealth kill, so that might have been
Well, I'll tell you something I
Why?
found out at the end of this that you would love to hear. So do you,
You
want to
can-
talk
you
about the fight first, or do you want to...
if you're gonna tell me, because I think I figured it out
No,
too.
go ahead, Preston.
If you're gonna tell me you could just murder them normally and then kill them in their second phase that
Yeah.
they're giving everybody with this, I realized that too.
Yeah, that's all. Because see, I were playing through this. I had to play through all of it. So I'm like, I'm fighting Laughing Octopus or whatever, like Calamari, whatever the name is. And like I'm doing the pistol,
Octopus.
Crazy
I'm
calamari.
the cackling calamari. No, I was using like the trank pistol.
Cackling calamari.
Yeah, I was using the trank pistol. I'm sitting there taking her down the entire time with the trank pistol, both phases. I'm like, God, this takes forever. I'm trying to look for that sniper rifle. That sniper rifle was like 60,000 credits. I still don't have that. I think I just got it after finishing Act 3.
I bought it. Yeah, I bought it.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy that soon.
That's wild because after my first section, like I had like 100,000 credits to be able to spend.
No, I did not have that. So I'm just tranking her with the pistol. I'm like, this gotta be a better way. So I'm like, you know what? Maybe we just go ahead and do it the Preston way and just fucking murder people. But then I noticed when I got to the second phase, her health is all still there. Like everything is still there. You're just doing it again. I'm like, let's try this out. I'm gonna take her down, and then she's gonna lose her fucking wings and shit, and she's gonna be coming at me all sexy, and that's when I'm gonna start tranking her. Because in this fight was great because like I can hide under that little step section. You hear the beeps. You can start going up the stairs. You can go up to the very top of the stairs, and every once in a while she's like, "I gotta cool down. I gotta cool down." Like getting pissed off about it. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is she talking about? You look in the distance, you can see like a group of these like bird people, and so like I'm just taking them down with my M9, and then I forgot that I had, and I remembered that I had the surface to air missile. So I see her flying around. You take a surface to air missile with her, it's like chunk, chunk, chunk. And I'm like, fuck
Smart.
yeah. Thing goes down. I'm like, okay, trank time. We'll have a nice little trank time in the bottom of this map.
I know though, because I had that realization the second boss fight, like second phase, I could have tranked her then. I was like, I wonder if that works. I know this game will fuck you in one of those fights. I don't know which one. I just know Kojima.
It doesn't.
will do
No. It is. You can't do that. It doesn't fuck you. I will say that I believe. I don't remember now, but I believe that there is extra points from just
I'm
doing
sure. I don't care about her.
tranks.
Fuck.
I know.
I'll also trank
You don't
them.
care about stealth.
I
either.
want to kill them, but I want to get them there faster.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
This fucking tranks took so long in this
If you
one.
don't have that
Flying
sniper, I'm like,
around.
holy shit, that probably took fucking forever.
I
So
know.
I started with the trank pistol at the
Well-
beginning. I saw, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. She's flying around way too much.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the hits in. It's bad.
The snake. I will say, like I said it before. I'll say it again. I know you guys don't have the points for it for whatever reason, but the snake or the trank sniper rifle.
No, I have it.
Does. Yeah, that
I'm
does
working my way.
big trank damage. It's not that bad.
It does good trank damage. It did much bigger when she dropped the shell. When you drop the shell, it was like doof, doof, doof. But like when
Yeah.
she was flying around, you still have to like take a second and track her, right, and find her, and then
Well, that and you got to use the
set.
sedative, like you use the penismazine to like not have the
Yeah.
sway, and then
Yeah, so it was a long. I liked
get
it. I liked the set piece. When you're going to tell us about the story, the same thing as the first. I liked the fight. It had some intuitive stuff. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, so it's really
her
just
background.
so like it's kind of what Preston described, right? Like she's flying around, and you obviously
Inside
can
a
use
tower with the staircase. They're flying
Yeah.
in and out, bombing shit in there too. Yeah.
right, and so you're in this tower and going up and down levels and different things, and trying to get shots off on Raging Raven and all the other little unmanned drones and all this other stuff. As you do that, then you break off the shell eventually, and then it just becomes just her, just like with Laughing Octopus. Yeah, just like that one. I'm really not going to get into the backstory of this stuff. It's not that good, but it's really just Drebin calls us up, just like he did last time. And he tells us exactly what happened, where she, again, was a child soldier, and these group of soldiers came in and put all of them in aerial graves, and so crows and everybody just like picked apart all the bodies all the time, drove her insane. So then one day she snapped and went through the camp and started cawing like a raven and killing.
The crows came back for her, and they didn't pick her bones. They broke her out of the trap.
Yes,
right.
By chance, accidentally hit the shackles.
Yes, and then she went around and called like a raven and killed all the soldiers and all the civilians.
Could you imagine this child with a knife in hand just flapping her waist, going rah, rah, just stabbing people, like running through the street? It's insanity. Insanity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so then she killed them and the civilians because in her mind they were no longer any different. And the cruelty her friends had suffered, the pain and humiliation she had endured. Hers was this distillation of the rage that decades of war had imparted upon those soldiers.
Zero out of 5 would not recommend.
Yeah. And so that was basically that. Yeah. She's not hot enough for Preston or for Alex to say I can fix her.
Right.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm just saying I don't need to hear about her trauma dumping.
You just like as she's talking, you just go shish, and just like
Also, that's a little racist. She did look Asian, so
that's not where I was going with
it. But anyway, and so from there we hang up on Drebin, and then Snake comes back. He goes to the bottom floor and he finds Big Mama still alive, and she's like, Snake, I have to apologize. The 3 vans that came out with us were decoys. The real one is floating down the river, headed downstream. And she goes, I managed to get in touch with the children. The Big Boss is safe, and we're going to rendezvous on the riverbank downstream. Land and air routes are cut off. But there is a cruiser waiting for us. The Volta River is our only chance of escape. Let's get out of here and hurry. And so they start to make their way out. And as she the bike is completely wrecked, and Big Mama makes a comment where she goes, I don't need to feel the wind anymore. There's no need to keep lying to myself. I only get off my bike when I fall in love, and then we get a flashback of again Eva from back in Snake Eater, and she asks for Snake to give her a hand. And Snake walks over to Big Mama and then lifts over this manhole cover, and she slowly makes her way down the manhole, and Snake follows right behind her, and a scarab can be seen monitoring the two from a short distance away, and Snake places the cover back over the manhole, and Snake and Big Mama later arrive at the base of the Volta River. As Snake cautiously rounds the corner, he sees a man sitting down and smoking a cigar, and who is it but our old pal Liquid Ocelot. And Snake is like, Liquid, and Liquid goes, not bad. And then Big Mama goes, where's Big Boss's body? And Liquid goes, that no longer matters. And she's like, where is it? And Liquid blows smoke in the direction of a burning boat. And Big Mama sort of falls and just starts she's clearly in pain. And Snake is like, is that it? And all the soldiers from Liquid Ocelot's private guard appear from surrounding basically the whole thing. And then Vamp, this loser, rises up from a docked boat on the side, and Naomi is seen hiding behind him. And Snake is like, Liquid goes, Naomi told me everything, and now, thanks to her, I finally have it, the thing that I've sought for so long, Big Boss. Put down the gun, Snake. It's already too late. You almost did it, but it looks like I win after all. And then he goes to keep smoking the cigar, and he goes, cigar is father's favorite. What do you say? Do you care for one last smoke? And Snake goes, you think you're Big Boss now. And Liquid goes, guilty as charged, but all that ends today. And he goes to fling the cigar at Snake's face, and it bounces off the solid eye. And Liquid then runs up to Snake and starts doing some CQC, and takes both his pistol and his rifle, and then puts Snake's knife in his shoulder. And Liquid says, "Nice try, but when it comes to CQC, I've got the upper hand." And Snake goes, "Even if you do get a hold of the system, you'll only have one part of the Patriots AI, the military part." And Liquid goes, "What of it, brother? It's only a matter of time before I have everything. Remember GW, the AI they think they lost? It's mine. It's a part of my army." And Snake goes, "That's impossible. We destroyed it." And Liquid goes, "Your worm only managed to cut GW into little pieces where we were able to reconstruct, and then we stowed it away inside JD's network. This man's body has served me well, allowing me to pass every security barrier between me and GW. After all, the Patriot system is nothing more than a machine. And now that GW is inside the network, there's no way JD would recognize it as an external threat. Once I destroy JD with a nuclear strike, the Patriots network will be all mine. And then I'll build my haven, free from all forms of control. I'll cast aside my old identity and take my own name for the first time." Snake goes, "Liquid, you're planning to recreate the Patriots?" And Liquid goes, "Snake, we were created by the Patriots. We're not men. We're shadows in the shape of men. We're freaks who never should have existed. We're a system, insurance that future generations never prosper. The Patriots saw fit to create us, and in doing so, became our only. I don't know. I never looked this up what this means, but he goes, became our only raison d'etre or d'etre is how he says it. I think. I know it's French. I just don't know what he's saying. I've never looked it up. But Liquid then goes, "I won't fight my fate any longer. I'll kill Zero and Big Boss and become a patriot myself. It all began with Zero and Big Boss. Our purpose in life is to fulfill our destinies, and once all is returned to Zero, the world can be reborn." And then Liquid sort of takes the knife, or grabs the knife, and then puts like an electric current into both him and Snake's body. And Liquid continues to stand, and it doesn't seem like it damaged him at all. But then he just pushes Snake to the ground, and Big Mama says, "Adam." And she holds out a red apple and rolls it towards Liquid's feet. And Liquid walks over and picks up the apple, and then crushes it. And it says, "So long as we both live, the world will not know of an age of light. If we're to pass the baton to the next generation, the only choice left for us is death." And Vamp says, "Boss," because he's noticing there's some noise off in the distance. And Liquid goes, "Good, the players have all assembled. Snake, the time has come for you to witness our moment of triumph." And then he leaps in his boat and says for everybody to leave. And as he's leaving, Meryl pulls up and says, "Hold it right there, Liquid." And says, "Drop your weapons and stand down." And they basically have all of these boats surrounded with like her, basically the whole army that she had described that she had. And there's helicopters and land vehicles that are lined the side of the river, and then obviously all the boats. And she's like, "All of you, drop your weapons and put your hands up." And Snake says, "Meryl." And Meryl says, "Aim." And as Meryl says, "Aim," Liquid is basically slowly raising his right arm in the air. And Snake says, "Liquid, stop." And Meryl says, "Fire," like right after he says that. And all Liquid does is throw two fingers forward, and the lights from the boat suddenly surrounding him completely shut off. And Meryl is attempting to fire her pistol, but the trigger appears to be jammed. But she tries to pull out another pistol. Nothing happens. All the soldiers adjacent on the bridges and the boats, all the weapons are jammed. And so she grabs a knife and focuses her attention on Liquid. And Liquid says, "The system is mine. Your guns and your weapons are no longer your own. Behold, the guns of the Patriots." And he takes his finger guns and just starts shooting off into the distance and saying, "Bang, bang, 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 bang." And when he's doing that, the helicopters start spinning out of control. They start losing control of what they're doing. They crash. And he then turns his attention to the ship that Meryl is on and says, "Die," and does the same thing. And the soldiers that are on board with Liquid begin firing instinctively as soon as he does that. And he points at Snake, and everybody else try to take cover. And then Liquid raises his fingers to his own head and says bang and does it like that. And then all the soldiers in the area begin experiencing the same symptoms that occurred during Liquid's tests of the system in the Middle East and South America. And the only one, once again, who is still left unchecked is Akiba. And so they're trying to get everything. And Meryl goes, Akiba, you're okay? He goes, yeah, I'm fine. And she's like, but why? And then from there, he starts, like, as the soldiers keep firing, Meryl pushes Akiba out of the way. And Liquid then is, all these, basically everybody has been gunned down or destroyed. And Liquid can be seen laughing, like, hysterically into the sky. And he goes, do you see this, Zero? We are victorious. Behold, guns of the Patriots. And Liquid aims like a set of the cannons that are on his boat, and points them directly at the boat that Snake and everybody are aboard and says, out of my way. And Ed and Jonathan from Meryl's team get thrown off from the blast, and Akiba grabs Meryl as all of them fall into the water. And then Liquid's boat then approaches the damaged vessel with Snake and Big Mama still aboard. And he just says, hey, let them have it. We don't need it anymore. And Vamp is seen picking up the remains of Big Boss and then tosses it into the fire on the boat with Snake. And then Big Mama sees the corpse being tossed into the flames, and she begins crawling towards it and then jumps into the fire. And when Snake sprints over to her, Liquid retrieves a pistol and takes aim and says, so long, Snake. And Liquid fires a shot at the fuel tank of the ship. And then Snake can be seen being burned by the flames of an explosion. And Big Boss's corpse is nothing but a charred object, like just sitting there.
Also, in that scene,
Snake,
like, Big Boss, like, he had one, like, bulging eye and looked like he was just, it was not great.
And that's not only one bulging eye, but that was his only eye, because he actually did lose his eye and had an eye patch.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It was unsettling.
Yeah. And so Snake slowly crawls away from those flames with Big Boss and Big Mama in there, and he's rolling over, and he reveals that now basically half of Snake's face has been burned on top of that. And he calls out to Otacon, and the Mark II appears through the flames and leaps on the back of Liquid's boat as it escapes from the scene, and then goes back invisible. And the aftermath of the battle shows numerous bodies of dead soldiers floating in the water, with more injured ones along the docks. And Ed and Jonathan are seen lying on the ground above the river. And Ed goes, you and me were great partners. And Jonathan's like, no, we were great friends. And then Akiba is on the riverside with an unconscious Meryl trying to get her to wake up. And he yanks off his mask and starts trying to give her CPR. And she's still not breathing. And then Meryl finally wakes up. And he's like, Akiba's all excited, and she just says Akiba back to him. And he's like, like, and like pulls his hands away from her. And he's like, it's not, I mean, and then she pulls him down for a little kiss and says, thank you. And he goes, are you okay, Meryl? And he goes to help her up. And he goes, if it's all right, you can just call me Johnny. And they sort of like longingly like looking into each other's eyes, and they look up to the seaside, and they see Snake sitting there, obviously half burned, sitting down with a dying Big Mama. And she goes, you and the beast are no different. Scorched shadows born to the world. When a beast steps into the light, unless the light is put out, the shadows cannot be erased. So long as there is light, there is shadow. To return everything to normal, the light must be extinguished. And she goes to touch like Snake. He goes, and when that happens, you will be too. And he goes to grab her hand, and it drops back down, and she, passes. And then who else in our moment of need pulls up but Drebin? And Snake just goes, you. And then Drebin pulls down and places a hand on the knife that is in Snake's shoulder still, and says, hey, like I said, we pride ourselves on our service, and then he yanks the knife out. And Drebin goes, "Come on, let's take this guy to his friends." And then Drebin and his monkey begin dancing. Or Drebin is standing there. The monkey begins dancing around Snake, and Snake just passes out.
He laughs. The monkey makes him laugh.
And the scene fades. Yeah, a little bit, but then he
gives
just
him a little lightheartedness right after all that bullshit.
Yeah. And then he goes to sleep. And then from there, that is where we end, and we will be picking up at Act 4, Twin Sons. So really quick, before you guys give your thoughts, I'm just going to very quickly say mine, is that my thoughts at this point on the BMBs have not changed. I think that both these ones are fun boss fights. And then you get to the description of them and you're like, God, you are just as bad as any of the worst villains that have been in this game. Like, I'll talk more about it later, but yeah, they're obviously not great. However, every single time so far that we have dealt with a B&B, we are followed up by, in my opinion, an amazing scene that just always makes me forget about how stupid it was before. And I thought this whole scene of Liquid taking over and like destroying everything and like just blowing shit up by looking at it. Yeah, dude. And then him doing the thing, like holding it to his head and doing all that shit. It's very anime, but I thought it was very cool. And it clearly shows, Liquid obviously being very close to pulling off exactly what he wants to do. So I am, it's still good for me in that regard. But how are you guys feeling?
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder if they're gonna cap off these B&B fights with these big extravagant cutscenes. Why do we even need their background? Kind of seems like a pointless story.
He loves his lore,
Also, just the hold L1 to stare at the ass for like a long time, by the way. It's like 2 minutes while it's talking. You just zoom in on her spandexed butt. But the whole section, like, it was my favorite section of the game so far. My favorite chapter of the game so far. I think I like this boss fight better than the other one, I think. Though I do think the octopus fight had more intriguing mechanics and had done stuff I've never seen. Yeah, has still done stuff that I've never seen in other games before. I liked this fight better. I like the whole like follow the person in Berlin scene or whatever, because I thought that was fantastically done. Following the guy whistling was well done. Like, it felt like I was a real spy for the first time in this whole series. I also thought the lore dump and the reveal with Ava as, Big Mama was awesome. And the whole cutscene and the driving section there was awesome, because if you're not zoomed in shooting, it's just a cinematic cam the whole time.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And just, it looked really cool going through the street. And then I agree, like, this whole cutscene with Liquid and everything else was so well done, with the finger guns and just the shooting up of the boats and the fight. Like, everything was so good. So yeah, minus the lore for the B&B, I mean, honestly, this chapter would be a 10 for me if it wasn't for that lore. It's probably, if add the lore, it's a 9.5, but plus a couple of bonus points, I guess, for the sexy boss. I don't know. We'll make it a 9.8. Yeah, so like, there's a really redeeming qualities in this whole chapter. The thing that it's just that lore kills me. Again, and I'll say it probably till the end, but like, you have a good reason they're crazy. You didn't need to invent a worse one, so.
Yeah, no, but the man loves his lore dumps. So whether it's going through all the history of the Patriots and the American government and all this kind of other shit he wants to go through and just gives you vomits of information while looking at an image. This one does it to where you're just looking at one of those calls, the little calls you get. And it's not even Drebin talking to you video-wise. It's just his logo as he's telling you this entire diatribe of like this lady's like history and backstory. So I get that.
Hey, sometimes you don't want to turn on your team's camera, dude.
Yeah, I mean, hey, see it every day. I get
Preston, it. I did say this whole section was a movie. Like I said, it should have just been like Metal Gear Solid's Advent Children. Like, why did
You
I
literally
even play?
have 3
Yeah, I know.
spots that you're playing. You got the chase, you got the follow the other guy, and then you have the boss final. That's
Watch for an hour, play for 15 minutes, sort of thing.
yeah, for sure. So, which I don't hate totally. I think something like later on Uncharted and stuff like that gets a little better on letting you kind of like do some stuff within those scenes. I think a lot of those CQC fights that you see, I kind of wish that we would have to have like maybe a little bit more interaction with. Not necessarily like button prompts, but like maybe you have me fight Liquid right there, and then it's maybe I give him close down to health, and then you can cut into the cutscene or something like that. So I thought there was going to be a whole sewer area as far as like, okay, now we're going to do the sewer level and just cutscene immediately right after that. So I thought the whole bike scene was great. The only thing I disliked about it was how quickly they allowed you to turn around and stuff like that. The cinematic parts do help you because it helps show you like get you in the direction of what you're doing, and you just press the aim button and he pops up in that direction. So that's nice. But I was having a little bit of a hard time, like the same thing with the in the Drebin's vehicle, to where it's just I feel like I'm not in these rail shooter parts. I'm not moving fast enough. Now I haven't checked input sensitivity. I don't know if you can change that, but I feel that I should have been able to like get to things faster, because I was like course correcting, and then all of a sudden the vehicle turns. I'm like, now I gotta overcorrect this way, and it's just like I got 2 shots on this fucking gecko, and I can't fucking do anything now because she decided to take a right turn here, and now I'm facing the opposite direction. So a couple things on that. Maybe like a lock on would have helped, or like, hey, I see the guy, I press the button, it locks onto it, and then I can kind of just sit there and shoot it for a while. And then the boss fight, I thought was a lot of fun. So overall, I mean, 4 is doing a lot better for me than I thought it would. It's definitely, I feel, better than 2. I don't know if I'm going to say it's better than 3 or 1. It's going to be a little hard to beat 3. And I don't know. I didn't play it back in the day, but for some reason, 1 gives me nostalgia vibes. I don't know if it's the whole like graphical settings and everything like that I get with it. But like the more I think about where I'm stacking these games with each other, I'm like, I actually kind of really liked like the Metal Gear 1 because it just Metal Gear Solid 1 because I don't know if it's just because of how like the look of it, just figuring it all out for the Metal Gear Solid in a 3D realm rather than a top-down 2D. I think it's just it kind of like puts it in a different like league of it. But I'm enjoying this one a lot.
Yeah, I think there's that, and I think there's also the flashbacks kind of help in that regard.
Sure,
where you're looking back at some of the Metal Gear Solid 1 thing, and you're like, oh yeah, man, yeah.
The only thing, I mean, I guess we've talked about it in the past where Metal Gear is like an AI, I guess, or could be. We've had the Shagohod, we've had the Rex, and we've had the Ray and stuff. So like, I'm waiting for a big reveal for this game of like, what are we gonna fight? Typically by now,
and we were the Metal Gear all along.
Yeah, typically by this point we know what we're gonna fight. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna have something to do with the AI, so it'll be interesting. But like, yeah, so far I'm digging it, man. We have what, 2 more chapters, 2 more acts.
Yeah, we are in the end game now,
right.
so we have Act 4 and Act 5 left. So this next one will be Act 4, and then we only have 1 more part after that. Act 5 is technically a little bit shorter, but the epilogue goes with that, and there's a big cutscene with it, so we'll just... I'm still leaving it as...
It's the infamous cutscene that is like a movie-length cutscene.
I think that one is here in Act 4.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. No, but it's like an hour plus.
Oh,
it's
really?
It's like a 70-minute cutscene. Yeah,
I think so. I think that's in Act 4. I can't remember. I think it's in Act 4.
Yeah.
But we are getting there. So we only have 2 parts left. So this next part and then the final part. So yeah, next time we will be playing Act 4, Twin Sons. And then after that, we are stopping at the act end, just like we do have done for all these other ones. So same exact format, same exact setup. So all right, everybody. Well, thank you for hanging out with us. Hope you're enjoying it as much as we're enjoying the playthrough. We'll be back with you next week, and of course, don't forget to catch up with Preston on Sunday for Spoopy Sundays. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. And with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or to check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcast. If watching is more your thing, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/@thetestingroom, or watch us live on twitch.tv/testingroomlive. To leave comments or ask questions, you can follow us on Instagram at testingroompod, leave a comment on YouTube, or send them in to testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.